This is the plaintiff, Danielle Martino. She says she hired the defendant to install a backup camera in her Jeep, and the guy screwed up her electrical system and won't give her money back. She has no other choice but to take him to court, so that's what she did, and is suing him for the $1,044.89 she paid him. This is the defendant, Blaine Hartleb. He says the plaintiff's wiring in the old Jeep was already messed up, and he told the plaintiff, and she authorized the camera installation knowing it. He's been in business a long time and knows what he's doing, and won't be bamboozled by the likes of the plaintiff. He's accused of crossing his wires.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says she hired the defendant to install a backup camera on her Jeep. Says the guy screwed it up so badly that all her wiring is messed up. But the defendant says the plaintiff's very old Jeep was a wiring mess when he got it, and he told the plaintiff about it, and now she's turning around and trying to blame him. It's the case of crossed wires.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Martineau, tell me your tale of woe. What happened here?
I took my Jeep to the defendant's shop to have a backup camera installed, and
okay,
it was
how
installed.
old is the Jeep?
So it's a 2007, so it was 11 years at the time.
Okay.
11 years old at the time.
And it was installed.
And
when did you have it installed? By Outrageous Audio? Is that it?
Correct.
How long ago did you folks install the camera onto her Jeep?
It was in 2018. So February 18th,
Okay.
2018.
All right. Did you personally install it or no?
No, my installers did.
Got it. All right. So, Ms. Martineau, what happens? You take your car in 2018 to Outrageous Audio to get them to install a backup camera that you wanted on your Jeep. And what happens?
So the first thing that happened was it was backwards. So it was completely useless for the time that I had it because I couldn't use it to parallel park.
But I'm not understanding. When you go to pick it up, wasn't it already backwards? And didn't you tell them, hey, it's backwards? Like, what happened when you picked it up?
It worked. The image was backwards. So if I went to parallel
flipped.
Park, right.
It'd be the wrong, oh, goodness gracious. That's not good.
So
yeah.
Right. And so, but my thought was it was a setting, and I'm usually pretty good with those sort of things. So I just kept messing with the stereo, and I hadn't had a backup camera, so it wasn't like I had one and suddenly didn't, right? Like after like 2 weeks, I got out the manual, and then I saw it had a little switch. So I called the shop and was told that I'd have to bring it back to have them flip the switch because it was behind the dash. So I told them I would bring it back out it was going to be March 10th. It was a Saturday that I was going to bring it back out. Well, on March 6th, I drove it to work for the first time. I have 2 cars, and it was going to be icy. So instead of taking my economical car, I took my Jeep, the safe car. And when I went to set the knob to defrost, like the knob wouldn't turn. It was stuck. Like there was wires behind it that were messy. So I jiggled it really gently, and I got it to slide into defrost, and I drove it all the way out to work, which is a long journey. And when I got almost all the way to work, the camera, my stereo deck went black, and then it was flashing a little bit, and I thought, well, that's really weird. So I turned it off, and then I turned it back on, and I saw the image that the camera sees, but it said no connection to camera, so there's an error on it. So I was like 2 blocks from work. I got to work, I turned it off, I set the alarm, went to work, thought everything was fine, thought the camera shorted out, came out at the end of the day, and the car wouldn't start. I unset the alarm, so it had power, but it was like dead, like it just nothing. You turn the key, nothing would happen. So
what does I unset? Wait. What was the last thing you said? I unset the alarm. What does that mean?
So there's a clicker, the clicker to unset the alarm. Like I left the car, I set the alarm, clicked the lock, unlock.
So when you came back after your day was over, after work, then you tried to turn off the alarm. And what happened?
I turned off the alarm. It unset. It was fine. I got in the car. I put the key in the ignition, and there was like no sound, nothing. And I turned the key, and there was just nothing. So I had to leave it. We tried to jump it. Somebody helped me try to jump it. I left the car. The next day, I had it towed to the first of 3 shops. And all they could find was that the aftermarket alarm that was on the car had to be reset. So they just reset the alarm because something in the shorting out of the camera like also did something to the alarm that was in the car.
When they reset the alarm, first of all, the alarm was there before the camera was, right? The alarm was installed by someone else prior to the camera. All right.
Correct.
So they reset the alarm, and then what happens?
The next day, I was driving the car, and I was out almost clear out by their shop, and I was on the freeway, and all of a sudden the stereo deck flashed again, and I thought, oh no, and all the lights on the dash came on, like there was this flashing going on. I thought, oh gosh, I just have to get the car home because I was afraid once I turned it off again, I wouldn't be able to restart it. So when I got about 2 miles from home, every buzzer, every horn, like everything started just like I call it the complete electronic meltdown. Like it just honking, beeping, everything. So I get it home, I turn it off, like I backed it into my driveway, turn it off, and I get out and I can hear all this clicking like under the dash. So I popped the hood and I tried to pull the fuse, see what fuse it was. And one of my backup reverse lights was flashing with the clicking. And so I pulled some fuses. I finally found out which one it was, but then I was afraid to leave it because at that point the alarm was still working, but that was it. And I couldn't turn the car on. So I pulled all the fuses out, put them all back, left it clicking overnight so the alarm could secure it, not in the greatest neighborhood. And the next day I had to have it towed I called Jeep. Jeep couldn't get it in for like a week and a half. So I called a local mechanic and they didn't want to mess with it because the wiring was a mess. And they had
What wiring?
Close to my house. So all the wiring.
Who's wiring?
Everybody's wiring.
I think you're taking a little bit of license here. So let's talk plainly. What did that second shop, Madison, tell you was the problem? They didn't say it was all the wiring. They said your alarm wiring, right?
No, the Jeep receipt was very specific about the alarm wiring. And what Jeep did was they took out the alarm. And once they
Is
took
Jeep
out the wiring,
first place or the second place or the third place you took it to?
third place. They kind of felt that the camera may have been tied into the alarm wiring, which was bad. But even if it wasn't tied into the alarm wiring,
that's a guess. That's a guess. In other words,
but even if it was
you should be able to see whether it was tied in or not. So did they say it was tied in or did they not say it was tied in?
No one would say.
Or are you saying, look, these guys are professionals. They opened up my, they saw my wiring. They should have said, hey, lady, this is horrible wiring your alarm people did. Is that what your premise is? That they had an obligation to tell you that?
Yes. And the way they left it behind the dash, I believe, is what when I couldn't turn the knob to defrost, because the defrost is all the way to the right, it was because of the mess of wiring that they left behind there. So it was, I believe
all right,
that
let
was
me hear from you, Mr. Hartlib.
claim.
I want to hear from you. I want to hear your responses to this stuff. When did you first get involved?
Well, on February 18th, she came in to have the camera put in. And while we were installing her camera, the install people went to the salesman and told Danielle that there's a bunch of wires behind the deck and it's missing some critical parts in regards to the installation of the stereo.
Stop. Who did that? Who told the customer that?
The salesman.
Where is the salesman? Is the salesman here to testify?
He's not.
Well, then how do you know what you're saying? Where did you get that from?
I talked to our sales team as well as the install team, and
that's what they say happened.
I hear you. I have my manager here also who talked to Jeep in regards to this.
All right. So now when you first hear about Ms. Martineau's problems is how? She writes a letter to you?
What I understand is that we got a phone call when the vehicle was at Jeep. And that's where my manager stepped in and called the technician right away.
Okay, so when your manager got involved, I'd like to talk to your manager. Is there a safe way for me to do that? Are you guys in the same room? You guys are always in the same room?
Yeah, no, we can swap right now.
Okay, let's do that. I'd like to talk to the manager.
All right, here's Doug. Oh, there you go.
Okay, Doug. Hi, Doug. Can you raise your right hand, please?
I sure can.
Thank you, Your
Doug,
Honor.
will you swear Doug in?
Absolutely.
Thank
You
you.
solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor.
Okay, how did you get involved, and tell me who told you what?
So I got involved because we'd received a phone call that said that the Jeep was at Jeep, and that I think actually, if I remember right, we got a phone call from Danielle, but then we called Jeep, and I called the technician at Jeep because I'd heard that he said the camera was installed poorly, but when I talked to him, he said no, that wasn't the case, that it was done different than he would have done it. We went down the passenger side, not the driver. And now that he knows that, then there's no way that we would have known the alarm was an issue. We couldn't have told her that it should have been fixed because we never saw it. Because everything we did was on the passenger side of the vehicle and behind the radio.
Wait, so I'm confused. When your boss said a minute ago that you guys told her that the wiring should be fixed, that's not accurate?
Welcome back to the People's Court. Who is responsible for this wiring fiasco? Let's go back into the courtroom.
There was two separate spots that the wiring was poor. The radio wiring was
so
poor,
there's
and the
wiring
alarm
for
wiring
the
was poor.
alarm, and there's wiring for the
Yes.
stereo. Okay.
Yes.
Do you know whether there was anything about the stereo wiring that was a problem?
Well, I mean, except for the actual wiring itself behind the radio, yes, there was some issues, and it was installed poorly. It was missing some parts that you need to have to make them function correctly back there.
So you talked to Jeep, and what did Jeep tell you was the problem? The alarm wiring or the stereo wiring, or both?
The alarm wiring.
Or neither? The alarm
The
wiring.
alarm wiring.
And you don't have anything to do with the alarm wiring because you're saying we rigged it all up through the passenger side and not through the driver's side where the alarm wiring was. Okay. Okay. Yeah, switch with your boss.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna, Ms. Martineau, what I want to know from you is I have a lot of documentary evidence in this case. I have, let's see what Jeep says. Customer states after backup camera installed, all issues started. Backup camera burned out. Inspected and found wiring for aftermarket alarm spliced into wireless control module ignition switch output is bare. Further inspection of aftermarket alarm wiring showed a very poor method of installation. Factory wiring insulation was stripped back and alarm wiring wrapped around exposed wire. Wire splices were then just taped over. Soldering wire splices should have been done, and any exposed wiring should have been repaired or replaced. Recommend removing aftermarket alarm and repairing factory wiring to correct concern. Okay. Tell me where I should see anything that says that the camera caused all your problems, that the camera install caused your problems.
I believe the camera shorting out is what took out the alarm because it was the.
I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you can believe it till your cows come home. You need to prove it. I can't have you look me in the eye and say, I believe the camera was at fault, when I'm reading everything saying, no, it wasn't. The alarm system was. You have 3 different agencies that could have given you that information if it in fact happened. If the camera wiring was at fault, then 3 different places, Meineke, Madison, or Jeep, could tell me that. And you know what notably none of them do? None of them say that. They all say it was the alarm system. So, you know, you have this theory that they hooked up the camera, but you don't have any proof of it. And with no proof, I have no choice but to rule in favor of the defendant in this case. That's my verdict.
Let's talk to Ms. Martino, see how she feels about it. What are you thinking right now, Ms. Martino?
I mean, it's the judge. She's the boss. It's fine.
Well, you're right. She is the boss. Obviously, you're upset. You're disappointed. What are you going to do now?
I mean, nothing. I had a reputable company put in a camera. All's good.
So all is well now. Okay. Mr. Hartleb, you know, you won the lawsuit. You really didn't have to say a whole lot. How are you feeling?
No. Feeling pretty good, but we knew. And the sad thing is she could have come in and we could have saved her a fortune by just taking a look at it. You know, lifetime warranty. We could have fixed all of that mess probably for $85.
What a shame. What a shame. Well, congratulations. Good luck, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the end of this case. Let's see what the judges have to say about it. Here they are.
A failure of proof in this case, I guess, on behalf of the plaintiff, because you needed expert testimony to really allow her to climb the mountain that she had to climb and convince you.
Yeah, I don't think that expert testimony was out there, though.
Exactly.
I think, because we had
it wasn't
plenty
forthcoming
No,
behind any particular rock.
I mean, she was upset about a lot of things. She was upset about the customer service. She felt like they, when he just poured a little salt in the wound, when he was, I could have for $85, I could have said, I think that she was frustrated with them, but she never really, I don't know why she would, I guess she can't find whoever rigged the alarm.
Sometimes when people put them in, they just, behind that dashboard, it's just spaghetti.
Yeah, you're never going to see, you're the customer and you're never going to see it.
Okay, Sharon wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. When my daughter was younger, one of her friends stole her purse. The police called it a loss rather than a theft because he was invited into the house. Why is this a loss and not a theft? Beats the hell out of me, because if he stole it from you, it's not a loss, it's a theft. Now, maybe the police know more than you're telling me, and maybe the argument here is she gave it to him. I don't know. But if he stole it, doesn't matter where you steal it, it's a theft. We'll see you next time.